I stood in my kitchen on Mother's Day morning, staring at the cheap plastic flower in my hand. The price tag was still attached. $9.99 from the dollar store down on Jackson Street. The petals were already peeling at the edges, and the green stem had a crack running down the middle. My husband Leonard had handed it to me with a quick kiss on the cheek before rushing out the door. "Happy Mother's Day, Loretta. Gotta run, got some business to handle." Business. That's what he called it these days. I turned that plastic flower over in my hands, and something inside me just snapped. Not loudly, not dramatically. It was quiet, like the final thread of a worn-out rope finally giving way after holding on for too long. 67 years old, and I was holding a $10 piece of plastic while my husband handled business on Mother's Day. But it wasn't just the flower. Lord knows it wasn't just the flower. It was what I'd seen 2 days ago when I went to drop off Leonard's blood pressure medication at his office. That's when I saw it. A brand new Mercedes-Benz, candy apple red, sitting in the parking lot with a big white bow on top. I thought maybe one of his business partners had made a big sale. Leonard ran a successful accounting firm, and his partners were always celebrating something. Then I saw her, Shanice Crawford, 28 years old, worked as his executive assistant for the past year. She came clicking out of the building in heels I could never afford, squealing with delight as Leonard handed her the keys. He was grinning like a fool, and she threw her arms around his neck and kissed him. Not a friendly peck. A real kiss. I stood there frozen behind my car, watching my husband of 43 years give another woman a luxury vehicle that probably cost more than $70,000. I drove home in a daze that day. Didn't say a word when he came home late that night, smelling like perfume that wasn't mine. And now here I was, 2 days later, holding a $10 plastic flower. Before we continue, please drop a comment if you've ever experienced something like this. We'd love to hear your story, and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. Let me tell you how we got here. Let me tell you about Leonard and Loretta Montgomery, the couple everyone at Blessed Hope Baptist Church said was relationship goals. The couple who'd built a beautiful life together. Raised 2 children, owned a home in a nice neighborhood, and seemed to have it all figured out. I met Leonard in 1978 at a church picnic. I was 20 years old, working as a secretary at a law firm, trying to save money for college. He was 23, had just gotten his accounting degree, and was the most handsome man I'd ever seen. He had these warm brown eyes that made you feel safe, and when he smiled at me over potato salad and fried chicken, I knew my life was about to change. We dated for 2 years, got married in 1980 in a beautiful ceremony at the church. My mama made my dress by hand, and Leonard cried when I walked down the aisle. We didn't have much money back then, but we had each other, and that felt like enough. Our daughter Natasha came in 1982, and our son Darius in 1985. Leonard worked hard, climbing the ladder at the accounting firm. I stayed home with the babies at first, then went back to work part-time when they started school. We saved money, bought our first house in 1990, and slowly built the life we'd dreamed about. Leonard eventually became a partner at the firm, then bought out the other partners 10 years ago and made it his own. Montgomery and Associates. He was so proud of that sign. I was proud too. We'd worked for everything we had. No handouts, no silver spoons, just hard work and faith in God. Our kids grew up and moved away. Natasha became a nurse and moved to Atlanta with her husband Terrence and our 2 grandbabies. Darius went into the military, served his time, and now works in computer technology out in California. They call us on holidays, send cards for birthdays, but they're living their own lives now, like they should. It was just me and Leonard in that big house, and somewhere along the way, without me really noticing, Leonard started staying late at the office, started taking business trips that seemed longer and more frequent, started looking at his phone and smiling at messages he wouldn't let me see. I told myself I was being paranoid. We were in our 60s now. Who cheats on their wife after 40-plus years of marriage? Who throws away a lifetime together? But then came the signs I couldn't ignore. New cologne. Expensive stuff I'd never seen before. A gym membership. Leonard, who hadn't exercised in 20 years, suddenly worried about his physique. New clothes, tailored shirts, designer shoes, and the distance. Oh, the distance. We used to talk for hours about everything and nothing. Now he barely looked up from his phone during dinner. When I asked about his day, he'd give me one-word answers. When I suggested we take a trip for our anniversary, he said he was too busy with work. But he wasn't too busy to buy Shanice Crawford a Mercedes-Benz. I stood there in my kitchen, still holding that plastic flower, and I thought about all the Mother's Days before this one. The years when Leonard would wake up early and make me breakfast in bed. The times he'd get the kids to make me handmade cards. The jewelry he'd saved up to buy me. The flowers he'd bring home, real ones, fresh and beautiful. When had that man disappeared? When had I become worth only $9.99? My phone rang. It was my best friend Claudette from church. We'd known each other since our kids were in Sunday school together. "Happy Mother's Day, Loretta!" Her voice was warm and cheerful. "How's your day going, honey?" I opened my mouth to say fine, the way I always did. The way Black women are taught to do, to hold it together, to keep our pain private, to never let anyone see us crack. But instead, I started crying. Not delicate tears, big, ugly sobs that shook my whole body. "Loretta, baby, what's wrong? Talk to me." So I did. I told her everything. The Mercedes, the plastic flower, the late nights, and the distance and the perfume and the lies. All of it came pouring out like a dam had burst. Claudette was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Where's Leonard now?" "I don't know. He left this morning. Said he had business." "On Mother's Day." "On Mother's Day." "Mm-hmm." Claudette made that sound she makes when she's trying not to curse in the Lord's house. "Loretta, baby, listen to me. I'm coming over. Don't you move. Don't you do nothing. I'll be there in 20 minutes. She hung up before I could argue. I set the plastic flower on the counter and looked around my kitchen. My beautiful kitchen that I'd redesigned 5 years ago. The granite countertops I'd picked out. The stainless steel appliances we'd saved for. The family photos on the walls showing decades of love and laughter and life. Had it all been a lie? Or had it just expired, like milk left too long in the sun? Claudette arrived exactly 20 minutes later, letting herself in with the spare key I'd given her years ago. She took one look at me, still standing in the same spot, and pulled me into a hug. "Tell me everything again," she said. "Slow this time. Every detail." So I did. We sat at my kitchen table, and I told her the whole story while she listened, her face getting tighter and tighter with anger. "That sorry lowdown." She caught herself and took a breath. Okay. First things first, do you have proof? Pictures? Bank statements?" I shook my head. "Leonard handles all the finances. He always has. I never questioned it. He makes the money and he—" "Stop right there." Claudette held up her hand. "You worked too, Loretta. You raised those babies. You kept that house. You supported his career. That money is just as much yours as his. And if he's spending it on some woman young enough to be his granddaughter, we need to know exactly how much." She was right. I knew she was right. But the thought of digging through Leonard's things, of confirming what I already knew in my heart, made me feel sick. "I don't even know where to start," I said. "You start by getting mad," Claudette said. "You've been sad long enough. It's time to get mad." She pulled out her phone and started typing. "My cousin Reginald is a lawyer, specializes in divorces. He's good, and he doesn't play games. I'm texting him right now." "Divorce?" The word felt foreign in my mouth. "Claudette, I don't know if I'm ready to. Whether you're ready or not, you need to know your options, and you need to protect yourself. If Leonard is spending y'all's money on his mistress, you need to know how much and you need to stop it. My phone buzzed. A text from Leonard. Won't be home for dinner. Don't wait up. On Mother's Day. He wasn't even coming home for dinner on Mother's Day. Something hardened in my chest. Claudette was right. I'd been sad long enough. Call your cousin, I said. Claudette smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a woman who'd seen too many of her friends go through this same thing. Now you're talking. But first, we need to gather evidence. Where does Leonard keep his computer? His office, the spare bedroom, but it has a password. Does he use the same password for everything? I thought about it. Usually, he's not great with technology. It's probably his birthday or our anniversary. We went to Leonard's office. The room still smelled like him, like his cologne and coffee and old leather. His desk was neat, organized, everything in its place, just like Leonard liked it. Claudette sat down at the computer and tried the anniversary date. Wrong. Then his birthday. Wrong again. What about the kids' birthdays? I suggested. She tried Natasha's birthday. The computer unlocked. We were in. Okay, Claudette said, her fingers flying over the keyboard. Let's see what Mr. Montgomery has been hiding. She opened his email first. There were hundreds of messages, business stuff mostly. But then she found a folder labeled SC. Shanice Crawford. My stomach dropped. Do you want me to read these or do you want to? Claudette asked gently. You do it. Just tell me what they say. Claudette clicked through the emails, her face getting darker with each one. Oh, Loretta, baby, I'm so sorry. How bad? He's been seeing her for 18 months. Since she started working for him, he's been taking her on trips, buying her jewelry, paying her rent, and the car. She scrolled down. The car cost $85,000. $85,000, while I was clipping coupons and buying store-brand groceries to help save money. Is there more? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Claudette kept clicking. Then she stopped, her eyes going wide. Loretta. He bought her a condo. What? A condo, downtown, 2 bedrooms. He put it in her name, but he's been making the payments, $5,000 a month. The room started spinning. I sat down hard on Leonard's leather chair. How much has he spent on her total? I asked. Claudette pulled up the bank statements. She was quiet for a long time, doing math in her head. Finally, she looked at me. Over $300,000, she said. In the last 18 months, he's spent over $300,000 on this woman. $300,000. Our retirement money. The savings we'd built over decades. The nest egg that was supposed to carry us through our golden years. Gone. Spent on a woman who was barely older than our daughter. I thought about the plastic flower sitting on my kitchen counter. $9.99. That's what 43 years of marriage was worth to Leonard. $10 and some spare change. I need you to leave, I said quietly. What? Loretta, no, I'm not leaving you alone right now. I'm not going to do anything stupid. I promise. I just need to think. I need to process this, please. Claudette looked worried, but she knew me well enough to know when I needed space. Okay, but I'm calling you in 2 hours. If you don't answer, I'm coming back with half the church, you hear me? I hear you. She hugged me tight. This isn't your fault, Loretta. None of this is your fault. You remember that. After she left, I sat in Leonard's office for a long time. I looked at the family photos on his walls. Our wedding picture, the kids as babies, vacations we'd taken, birthdays and Christmases and ordinary moments that had felt extraordinary because we were together. Had he looked at these pictures while he was emailing Shanice? While he was planning trips with her? While he was buying her a condo? I turned to the computer and started printing. Every email, every bank statement, every receipt. The printer hummed for nearly an hour, spitting out page after page of Leonard's betrayal. When I was done, I had a stack of papers 3 inches thick. Evidence, proof, ammunition. I called Claudette back. "Give me your cousin's number. I want to talk to him first thing Monday morning." "Now that's what I'm talking about," Claudette said, pride in her voice. "What are you going to do until then?" I looked around Leonard's office, our house, the life we'd built together. "I'm going to pack my bags," I said, "and then I'm going to make some phone calls. It's time Leonard learned that you don't throw away a good woman for a young woman, and you definitely don't mess with an angry black woman who's been holding her tongue for too long." "Amen to that," Claudette said. "You need help?" "Not yet, but I will soon. Very soon." I heard the front door open. Leonard was home early. I could hear him walking around downstairs, probably looking for me. "Loretta?" he called out. "You home?" I looked at the stack of printed evidence on the desk, at the computer screen still showing his emails to Shanice, at the life I'd built that was crumbling around me. "I'm up here," I called back. "In your office. I think we need to talk." I heard his footsteps on the stairs, getting closer, getting louder. And I thought about that plastic flower one more time. $9.99. The door opened and Leonard stood there, his face going white as he saw me sitting at his computer, surrounded by printed evidence of his affair. "Loretta," he said, his voice shaking. "This isn't what it looks like." I smiled. It was the same smile Claudette had given me earlier, the smile of a woman who was done being nice. "Oh, Leonard," I said softly. "It's exactly what it looks like. Now sit down. We need to talk about what happens next." Leonard stood in the doorway of his office, looking at me like I was a stranger. I guess in that moment, I was. The Loretta he knew would have cried, would have begged him to explain, would have believed whatever lie he was about to tell. But that Loretta died the moment I saw that price tag on the plastic flower. "Sit down, Leonard," I said again. He didn't move. His eyes darted to the computer screen, to the papers spread across his desk, to my face. I watched him calculate, watched him try to figure out how much I knew and how much he could still hide. "How long have you been snooping through my private things?" he asked. His voice had an edge to it now, defensive, angry even. "Your private things?" I picked up one of the bank statements. "This account has both our names on it, Leonard." "That makes it my business. Or did you forget that we're married? That what's yours is mine, and what's mine is yours? Till death do us part?" He finally walked into the room, but he didn't sit. He stood on the other side of the desk, putting furniture between us like a barrier. "You had no right to go through my computer. And you had no right to spend $300,000 of our retirement money on your mistress." The word hung in the air between us. Mistress. He flinched like I'd slapped him. "It's not like that," he started. "Then what's it like, Leonard? Help me understand. Explain to me how you spent $85,000 on a car for another woman, how you bought her a condo, how you've been paying her bills and taking her on trips. Explain it in a way that makes sense." "You wouldn't understand," he said quietly. "You don't know what it's like." What's like? Being married to me? Because I thought we were happy. I thought we had a good life. We did. We do. He ran his hand over his face. "It's just, Loretta, we're getting old. I'm 65 years old. When I look in the mirror, I see an old man. But when I'm with Shanice, I feel young again. I feel alive." I stared at him. 43 years of marriage, and he was talking about feeling alive with another woman. "So I make you feel dead?" I asked. "No, that's not what I meant. You're twisting my words." "Then say what you mean, Leonard. Be honest with me for once." He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Things between us have gotten boring. We're roommates more than we're married. We don't do anything exciting anymore, We don't have fun. It's just the same thing day after day. And whose fault is that? My voice was rising now. I've been asking you to do things with me for years. I asked you to take a trip for our anniversary. You said you were too busy. I asked you to go to the church picnic last summer. You said you had work to do. I asked you to take dance classes with me. You laughed at me. So don't you dare sit here and blame me for us being boring when you're the one who stopped trying. I didn't stop trying, He trailed off. You just found someone younger and prettier and more exciting. Someone who doesn't have stretch marks from carrying your babies. Someone who doesn't remind you that you're getting old. It's not about that. Then what is it about, Leonard? He looked me right in the eye and said, Maybe I'm just not in love with you anymore. The words hit me like a punch to the stomach, not because I was surprised. Somewhere deep down, I'd known. But hearing him say it out loud, hearing him admit that the love I'd built my whole life around was gone, made it real in a way it hadn't been before. I took a breath, let it out slowly, refused to let him see me cry again. Okay, I said. Thank you for being honest. He looked surprised. Maybe he expected me to beg him to stay, to fight for our marriage, to promise I could change. That's it? He asked. Just okay? What do you want me to say, Leonard? You just told me you don't love me anymore. You've been cheating on me for 18 months. You spent our retirement money on another woman. What am I supposed to do with that? I don't know. I just thought... He shook his head. I don't know what I thought. Well, let me tell you what I think. I think you're a coward. I think you're a foolish old man having a midlife crisis 20 years too late. I think you've forgotten where you came from and who stood by you when you had nothing. But most of all, I think you're about to learn a very expensive lesson about what happens when you betray someone who's been nothing but loyal to you. His expression changed. Now he looked worried. What does that mean? It means I called a lawyer. His name is Reginald Foster. I'm meeting with him Monday morning at 9 o'clock, and I'm taking every single one of these papers with me. I patted the stack of evidence. By the time I'm done, Shanice can have you, but she won't have our money. You'll be lucky if you can afford to buy her a bicycle, let alone a Mercedes. Leonard's face went red. You can't do that. That's my company. I built it. That money is mine. That money is ours. And the law agrees with me. You should know that, being an accountant. Or were you too busy counting Shanice's assets to remember how marital property works? He slammed his hand on the desk. I won't let you take everything I've worked for. You should have thought about that before you threw it all away for a woman young enough to be your granddaughter. I stood up, gathering the papers into a neat stack. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some packing to do. Packing? Where are you going? Away from you. I'm staying with Claudette until I figure things out. You can have the house to yourself, invite Shanice over, have a party. I don't care anymore. I walked past him toward the door. He grabbed my arm. Loretta, wait. Let's talk about this. We can work it out. We can go to counseling or... I looked down at his hand on my arm, then back up at his face. Let go of me. Please, I made a mistake. I can fix this. No, you can't. And even if you could, I don't want you to. I'm done, Leonard. I'm done being second place in your life. I'm done being an afterthought. I'm done with all of it. He let go of my arm. So that's it? 43 years and you're just going to throw it all away? I almost laughed. I'm throwing it away? Leonard, you threw it away the first time you kissed that woman. You threw it away every time you lied to me. You threw it away when you gave me a $10 plastic flower while you gave her an $85,000 car. This is on you. All of it. I left him standing there in his office and went to our bedroom. My bedroom. I pulled out the suitcases from the closet and started packing. Clothes, shoes, toiletries. My jewelry box with the pieces that actually mattered to me. Photos of my kids and grandkids. Leonard appeared in the doorway. You're really leaving? Yes. What am I supposed to tell people? What am I supposed to tell the kids? Tell them the truth, Leonard. Tell them you decided a young woman was worth more than your family. I'm sure that'll go over real well. His face went pale. He hadn't thought about the kids. About Natasha and Darius finding out what their father had done. About losing respect in their eyes. Don't tell the kids, he said. Please. Let's keep this between us until we figure things out. I'm not lying for you anymore. I've been covering for you for months, making excuses for why you're never around. That stops now. I zipped up the first suitcase and started on the second. Leonard watched me, looking lost and small. This was the man I'd loved for over 4 decades, the man I'd built a life with. And now he was a stranger. My phone rang. Claudette. I'm fine, I answered. Better than fine, actually. I'm packing. Good. You coming here? If that's still okay. Girl, you know it is. My guest room is all ready. I'll be here waiting. I hung up and grabbed my suitcases. Leonard stepped aside to let me pass. We didn't say anything else to each other. What was left to say? I loaded my car and drove to Claudette's house across town. She was waiting on the porch when I pulled up, and she helped me carry my bags inside. How do you feel? She asked once we were settled in her living room with tea. Numb, I said honestly, like this is happening to someone else. That's shock, baby. It'll wear off. Then you'll feel everything all at once. And that's when you need to call me, you hear? Don't try to handle it alone. I nodded. Tell me about your cousin, the lawyer. Reginald is one of the best divorce attorneys in the state. He's handled some big cases. Rich folks trying to hide money from their spouses, cheating husbands thinking they can walk away with everything. He doesn't lose often. How much does he cost? Don't worry about that right now. He owes me a favor. He'll see you for a consultation for free, and we'll work out the rest. First thing Monday morning, you march into his office and you tell him everything. Show him all those papers you printed. He'll know what to do. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in Claudette's guest bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying my entire marriage in my mind, looking for signs I'd missed, wondering when Leonard had stopped loving me, wondering if he'd ever really loved me at all, or if I'd just been convenient. My phone buzzed with a text. Leonard. I'm sorry, I never meant to hurt you. Can we please talk? I deleted it without responding. Another text. Loretta, please. I love you. I made a terrible mistake. Delete. I ended things with Shanice. It's over. Can you come home so we can work this out? I stared at that one for a long time. Part of me, the part that had been married for 43 years, wanted to believe him, wanted to go home and pretend none of this had happened. Wanted to save our marriage because that's what I'd promised to do when I said I do. But I thought about that plastic flower again, about him telling me he didn't love me anymore, about $300,000 and 18 months of lies. Delete. I turned off my phone and finally fell asleep. Monday morning came. Claudette drove me to Reginald Foster's office downtown. It was in a nice building with marble floors and expensive art on the walls. His secretary showed us into a conference room where Reginald was waiting. He was in his late 40s, dressed in a sharp suit, with salt and pepper hair and intelligent eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He stood up and shook my hand firmly. Mrs. Montgomery, I'm so sorry about what you're going through. Claudette told me a little bit. But why don't you start from the beginning and tell me everything? So I did. I told him about the plastic flower and the Mercedes and finding the emails. I showed him all the evidence I'd printed. Bank statements showing the money Leonard had spent. Emails between him and Shanice. Receipts for jewelry and trips and the condo. Reginald listened without interrupting, taking notes on a legal pad. When I finished, he sat back in his chair and whistled low. Mrs. Montgomery, this is one of the clearest cases of marital asset dissipation I've ever seen. Your husband has been spending marital funds on an extramarital affair, and we have documentation of every penny. This is good. This is very good for your case." "What does that mean exactly?" I asked. "It means that when we go to court, the judge is going to be very interested in this behavior. In our state, when one spouse wastes marital assets on an affair, the other spouse is entitled to compensation. Essentially, the judge can award you a larger portion of the marital estate to make up for what your husband spent on his mistress." "So I can get that money back?" "Not exactly. The money he already spent is gone. But we can make sure you get a bigger share of everything else. The house, his business, retirement accounts, all of it." "How much of it?" Reginald smiled. "If we play this right, most of it. Maybe even all of it, depending on the judge. Your husband made a very expensive mistake, Mrs. Montgomery, and he's about to pay for it." For the first time since I found those emails, I felt something other than pain. I felt powerful. I felt like maybe, just maybe, I was going to be okay. "What do I need to do?" I asked. "First, we file for divorce. Then we file a motion to freeze all marital assets so he can't spend any more money or hide anything. Then we start discovery, where we go through all his financial records with a fine-tooth comb. If he spent $300,000 on Shanice, I want to know if there have been others. I want to know about every penny he's ever spent that wasn't on the marriage." "How long will this take?" "Depends on how much he wants to fight. If he's smart, he'll settle. But men like your husband, men who think they can get away with anything, they usually fight, which is fine. The longer he fights, the more money he spends on lawyers, and the worse he looks to the judge." I signed the papers Reginald put in front of me. Just like that, I was filing for divorce after 43 years of marriage. "One more thing," Reginald said. "Don't talk to your husband without me present. Don't make any agreements. Don't sign anything he gives you. And definitely don't let him sweet-talk you into dropping this. I've seen it happen 100 times. The husband realizes he's about to lose everything, so he becomes the most loving, apologetic man in the world. Don't fall for it." "I won't," I promised. Claudette and I left the office and went to lunch at a little soul food restaurant we loved. Over fried catfish and collard greens, she asked, "How are you really doing?" "I don't know yet," I said. "Ask me again when this is all over." "You're stronger than you think, Loretta. You always have been." "I never felt strong. I felt like Leonard's wife, Natasha and Darius's mother. That's who I was." "No, baby. That's who you let yourself be. But you're Loretta Jean Montgomery, and you've always been more than just someone's wife or mother. It's time you remembered that." We were finishing our sweet tea when my phone rang, a number I didn't recognize. "Hello? Mrs. Montgomery?" A young woman's voice. "This is Shanice Crawford. I think we need to talk." My hand tightened on the phone. Claudette saw my face and mouthed, "Who is it?" I mouthed back, "Shanice." Claudette's eyes went wide. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice cold. I wanted to say I'm sorry. Leonard told me you two were separated. He said you hadn't been happy for years. He said the marriage was basically over. I didn't know he was lying. I didn't know." "You didn't know?" I cut her off. "You work for him. You see his wedding ring every day. You've met me at company parties, so don't tell me you didn't know." "I made a mistake. I'm young. I didn't think—" "No, you didn't think. You didn't think about me or my kids or my grandkids. You didn't think about 43 years of marriage. You just thought about what you could get from him. The car, the condo, the money. It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like, Shanice? Tell me." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that shocked me. "He told me he was going to leave you. He said as soon as he got his finances in order, he was going to file for divorce and we were going to be together. He promised me." I almost laughed. "And you believed him?" "He seemed sincere." "They always do." "Let me tell you something, Shanice. Leonard isn't leaving me. I'm leaving him. And by the time my lawyer is done with him, he won't be able to afford to keep you in the lifestyle you've gotten used to. That condo, that car, all of it is about to disappear. Because that was my money he spent on you. Mine. And I'm taking it back. You can't do that. Leonard gave those things to me. They're mine now. We'll see what the judge says about that. But I have a feeling you're about to learn that gifts bought with stolen money don't really belong to you. I hung up on her. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. From anger. From righteous fury. What did she say? Claudette asked. She said Leonard promised to leave me for her. She actually believed him. Stupid girl. Did you tell her the truth? I told her enough. She'll figure out the rest when Leonard shows up on her doorstep broke and desperate. We drove back to Claudette's house. I was exhausted. Dealing with lawyers and phone calls from mistresses took more energy than I expected. But when we pulled into the driveway, there was someone waiting on the porch. Leonard. He stood up when he saw us, and I could see even from the car that he looked terrible. He hadn't shaved. His clothes were wrinkled. His eyes were red like he'd been crying. You want me to call the police? Claudette asked. No, let me handle this. I got out of the car and walked up to the porch. Claudette stayed by the car, close enough to help if I needed her, but far enough to give us space. What are you doing here, Leonard? I asked. I got served with divorce papers today, he said. At my office, in front of my employees. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was? Not as humiliating as finding out your husband spent your retirement money on his mistress. Not as humiliating as holding a $10 plastic flower while the woman he's cheating with drives around in an $85,000 car. I told you, it's over with Shanice. I ended it. It meant nothing. Then why did it cost $300,000? He didn't have an answer for that. Loretta, please, don't do this. We can fix our marriage. We can go to counseling. We can start over. Just drop the divorce. No. You're not even going to think about it? I've thought about nothing else for the past 3 days, Leonard. And my answer is no. You made your choice. Now you have to live with it. What about the kids? What about Natasha and Darius? Don't they get a say in this? They're adults. They'll understand. Eventually. And what about 43 years of marriage? Does that mean nothing to you? I looked at him. Really looked at him, and I saw not the man I'd married, but the man he'd become. Selfish, dishonest, small. It meant everything to me, I said quietly. But apparently it meant nothing to you. Otherwise you wouldn't have thrown it away. I turned to walk into Claudette's house, but Leonard grabbed my arm again, harder this time. Let go of me, I said. Not until you listen. I'm not letting you destroy everything I've built. You destroyed it yourself. If you go through with this divorce, I'll make sure you don't get a penny. I'll hide every asset. I'll move money offshore. I'll make it so you end up with nothing. I looked down at his hand on my arm, then back at his face. Are you threatening me, Leonard? I'm telling you the truth. You think you can take me on? You think you can win against me? I have the best lawyers money can buy. You have Claudette's cousin. You'll be destroyed in court. Claudette was suddenly there, her phone out. I recorded all of that. You just threatened your wife and admitted you planned to hide marital assets. Keep talking, Leonard. My video is still rolling. Leonard's face went white. He let go of my arm and stepped back. You ladies are making a big mistake, he said, but his voice was shaking now. The only mistake I made was staying with you as long as I did, I said. Now get off this property before I really do call the police. Leonard looked at me one more time, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Hatred. Pure, undiluted hatred. You'll regret this, Loretta. I promise you that. He walked to his car and drove away, tires squealing. Claudette and I went inside. She immediately sent the video to Reginald with a text. Client's husband just threatened to hide assets and physically grabbed her. Will this help the case? Reginald's response came back in seconds. This just won the case. Don't delete that video. I sat down on Claudette's couch and finally let myself cry. Not sad tears this time. Angry tears. Relieved tears. tears that had been building for 43 years of putting someone else first. "It's going to be okay," Claudette said, sitting beside me and holding my hand. "You're going to be okay." "I know," I said, and for the first time I believed it. But what I didn't know, what neither of us knew, was that Leonard wasn't done. Not by a long shot. And what he did next would change everything. 3 weeks after Leonard threatened me on Claudette's porch, I woke up to 17 missed calls, all from Natasha. My stomach dropped. Something was wrong. I called her back immediately. "Mama?" Her voice was thick with tears. "Mama, what's going on? Daddy called me last night. He said you're trying to steal everything from him, that you've lost your mind, that you hired some lawyer to destroy him. Is it true? Are you really divorcing Daddy?" I closed my eyes. Leonard had gotten to the kids first. "Baby, let me explain. How could you do this to our family? After everything Daddy's done for us, for you? He said you just woke up one day and decided you didn't want to be married anymore. He's devastated, Mama. He was crying. Natasha, that's not what happened. Your father has been having an affair?" She cut me off. "I know. He told me. He said it was a mistake. He said he ended it and wanted to work things out, but you won't even talk to him. You just want to punish him." I sat up in bed, my heart pounding. "He told you about the affair?" "Yes, and I'm not saying what he did was right, Mama. I'm not. But people make mistakes. Marriages go through rough patches. You don't just throw away 43 years because of one mistake." "One mistake?" My voice was rising. "Natasha, this wasn't one mistake. This was 18 months of lying. This was $300,000 of our retirement money. Daddy explained that. He said he made some bad investments, that the money issues aren't what you're claiming. Mama, I love you, but I think you're being manipulated by this lawyer. Daddy says lawyers do this all the time. They turn wives against their husbands so they can get bigger fees." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Leonard had twisted everything, made himself the victim, made me the villain. "Natasha, I need you to listen to me. Really listen. Your father didn't just have an affair. He bought his mistress a car that cost $85,000. He bought her a condo. He spent our savings on her while giving me a plastic flower from the dollar store for Mother's Day. I have proof. Bank statements, emails, everything. I don't want to see proof, Mama. I don't want to be in the middle of this. You're my parents, both of you, and you're tearing our family apart." "I'm not tearing anything apart. Your father did that. That's not how Daddy tells it. And you're choosing to believe him over me?" There was a long silence. Then Natasha said quietly, "Darius and I talked. We think you both need to go to counseling. Work this out, for the sake of the family, for the sake of the grandkids." "I've made my decision, baby." "Then I've made mine too. If you go through with this divorce, if you try to destroy Daddy financially, then I don't know if I can have a relationship with you right now. It's too painful." The words hit me like a physical blow. "You're choosing your father's side?" "I'm not choosing sides. I'm choosing peace. I'm choosing to protect my kids from all this drama. I can't have them around this negativity." "Natasha." "I have to go, Mama. I hope you change your mind. I really do." She hung up. I sat there holding the phone, feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach. My daughter was cutting me off. Because Leonard had lied to her. Because he'd made me look like the bad guy. I called Darius next. He answered on the first ring. "Mom, did your father call you too?" "Yeah, last night. Look, Mom, I don't want to get involved in this. Whatever's happening between you and Dad is between you and Dad. Your sister said she can't have a relationship with me if I go through with the divorce." "Natasha she's emotional about this. You know how she is. She wants everyone to be happy all the time. This is hard for her. It's hard for me too, Darius. I know. But Mom, can I ask you something? Is it really worth it? Blowing up the whole family over this? I mean, Dad messed up, I get it. But he's willing to work on things. Isn't that what matters? He's not willing to work on things, baby. He's just scared of losing his money. That's not what he told me. Of course it's not. Your father is a liar, Darius. He's been lying to all of us for 18 months, probably longer. Darius sighed. I can't do this right now. I'm in the middle of a big project at work. Can we talk about this later? Sure, I said, but I knew we wouldn't. Darius was avoiding the situation, which meant Leonard had gotten to him too. After I hung up, I called Reginald and told him what happened. This is actually pretty common, he said. The cheating spouse gets to the kids first and paints themselves as the victim. It's a manipulation tactic. Don't worry. Once your kids see the evidence in court, they'll understand. And if they don't, then they're choosing willful ignorance. But Mrs. Montgomery, you can't make decisions about your life based on what your adult children think. You have to do what's right for you. He was right. But knowing that didn't make it hurt any less. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. Reginald had filed motions to freeze Leonard's assets and to force him to account for every penny he'd spent in the last 2 years. The day before the hearing, Claudette and I went to church. I hadn't been since Mother's Day. I was embarrassed, ashamed. I knew people would talk, they always did. But when I walked into Blessed Hope Baptist, something unexpected happened. Pastor Williams stopped his sermon preparation and came down from the pulpit to hug me. Sister Loretta, we've missed you. I'm sorry I haven't been here, Pastor. Things have been difficult. I know, sister. Claudette told me some of what you're going through, and I want you to know that this church is here for you. Whatever you need. Other members started gathering around. Sister Ernestine from the usher board, Brother Marcus who ran the food pantry, Sister Juanita from the choir. One by one they hugged me, told me they were praying for me, told me I was strong and I would get through this. We heard Leonard's been spreading lies, Sister Ernestine said, trying to make you look bad. Don't you worry about that. We know you. We know what kind of woman you are. Some of us have been through divorces too, Sister Juanita added. It's hard, especially when you've been married as long as you have, but sometimes leaving is the bravest thing you can do. I started crying. After weeks of feeling alone, of having my own children turn against me, I was surrounded by people who saw me, really saw me. Pastor Williams put his hand on my shoulder. The Lord says in Psalms, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. You're hurting right now, Sister Loretta, but you're going to heal, and you're going to come out of this stronger than you've ever been. That night, I prayed for the first time since Mother's Day. I prayed for strength, for wisdom, for justice, and for my children to one day understand. The hearing was held in a courtroom downtown. Reginald met me outside, briefcase in hand. Ready? He asked. As I'll ever be. We walked in together. Leonard was already there with his lawyer, a slick-looking man in an expensive suit named Edward Pritchard. Leonard wouldn't look at me. But Shanice was there too, sitting in the back of the courtroom. She looked nervous. Good. The judge was a black woman in her 50s named Judge Teresa Robinson. She had kind eyes but a firm expression. Reginald had told me she was fair but didn't tolerate nonsense. We're here today, Judge Robinson began, to address Mrs. Montgomery's motion to freeze marital assets and to establish temporary support while the divorce proceedings continue. Mr. Pritchard, I've reviewed your opposition. You claim Mrs. Montgomery is not entitled to any temporary support because she abandoned the marital home. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. Mrs. Montgomery left of her own accord. She has shown no interest in reconciliation. Meanwhile, my client is willing to work on the marriage. He's offered to pay for counseling, but she refuses. Judge Robinson turned to me. Mrs. Montgomery, why did you leave the marital home? I stood up, my voice shaking slightly. Your Honor, I left because I discovered my husband had been having an affair for 18 months. He spent over $300,000 of our retirement savings on his mistress, including buying her a car and a condo. On Mother's Day, while his mistress was driving around in an $85,000 Mercedes, he gave me a $10 plastic flower from the dollar store. I left because I have self-respect, and I refuse to stay in a marriage where I'm valued at less than $10. The courtroom was silent. Judge Robinson looked at Leonard, then at his lawyer. Mr. Pritchard, does your client deny these allegations? Edward Pritchard stood up. Your Honor, my client admits to a brief indiscretion, but the financial claims are greatly exaggerated. Mrs. Montgomery is being influenced by her attorney to... I asked if your client denies the allegations. Yes or no? He admits to some spending, but... Yes or no, counsel? No, Your Honor. He doesn't deny the spending. How much? Edward looked at Leonard, who nodded reluctantly. Approximately $300,000 over 18 months. A murmur went through the courtroom. Judge Robinson's expression didn't change, but I saw something flash in her eyes. And this was marital property? Money from joint accounts and the marital business? Yes, Your Honor, but that will be enough. Mr. Foster, I assume you have documentation. Reginald stood up, holding a thick folder. Yes, Your Honor. Bank statements, credit card receipts, emails between Mr. Montgomery and the other woman discussing the purchases. We also have video evidence of Mr. Montgomery threatening to hide assets and physically grabbing Mrs. Montgomery when she informed him of the divorce filing. I'd like to see that video. Reginald pulled out a tablet and played Claudette's recording. The whole courtroom watched as Leonard grabbed my arm, threatened me, and promised to make sure I ended up with nothing. When it was over, Judge Robinson sat back in her chair and looked at Leonard for a long moment. Mr. Montgomery, stand up. Leonard stood, his face pale. In my 20 years on this bench, I have seen a lot of bad behavior. Cheating spouses, hidden assets, manipulation. But it takes a special kind of arrogance to spend $300,000 on your mistress and then threaten your wife when she dares to leave you. It takes an even more special kind of stupidity to make those threats on camera. Your Honor, I was upset. I didn't mean... You didn't mean to get caught. That's what you didn't mean. But you did get caught, Mr. Montgomery. And now you're going to pay for it. She turned to her clerk. I'm granting Mrs. Montgomery's motion in full. All marital assets are frozen effective immediately. Mr. Montgomery is to have no access to any joint accounts, business accounts, or retirement funds without court approval. He is ordered to pay Mrs. Montgomery temporary support of $5,000 per month until the divorce is finalized. He is also ordered to vacate the marital home within 48 hours. Mrs. Montgomery will return to the home and have full use of it during the proceedings. Your Honor, that's not fair, Leonard burst out. That's my house, my business. No, Mr. Montgomery, that's your wife's house, your wife's business. Or it was until you decided to spend marital assets on another woman. Now it's going to be mostly her house and mostly her business, if I have anything to say about it. And since I'm the judge, I do have something to say about it. She banged her gavel. We're adjourned. Mr. Montgomery, if you violate any part of this order, you'll find yourself in contempt of court, and I assure you, you don't want that. We walked out of the courtroom. I was shaking, but not from fear, from relief, from vindication. Reginald was grinning. That went better than I expected. Judge Robinson ate him alive. What happens now? Now we go to discovery. We dig through every financial record your husband has, every account, every transaction. If he's hidden money, we'll find it, and when we do, the judge will give you even more. As we stood on the courthouse steps, Leonard came storming out. He looked at me with such hatred that I actually stepped back. You think you've won, he said, but you haven't. I'll appeal. I'll fight this. You'll never see a penny. Mr. Montgomery, Reginald said calmly, I strongly advise you not to speak to my client. I'll speak to whoever I want. That's my wife. Not for much longer, I said quietly. And Leonard, you should have thought about all this before you chose Shanice over me, before you spent our future on her, before you gave me that plastic flower. This is on you. All of it. I walked away, leaving him standing there. Claudette drove me back to my house. Our house. My house now. Leonard had already moved his clothes out. The place felt empty, but peaceful. That night, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Mrs. Montgomery, this is Shanice. Please don't hang up. I almost did, but curiosity got the better of me. What do you want? I just wanted you to know that Leonard lied to both of us. He told me you were separated, that you were fine with him moving on. He said you'd both agreed the marriage was over. And you believed him? I wanted to believe him. I was stupid. I'm 28 years old and I thought I knew everything. But I didn't know what it felt like to be lied to be used. Until now. What do you mean? Leonard came to see me yesterday, after the court hearing. He asked me to sign the condo and the car back over to him. He said he needed the assets to fight you in court. He promised he'd buy me new ones once this was all over. But I'm not stupid anymore, Mrs. Montgomery. I know he's not going to buy me anything. He used me. And now that I'm no use to him, he's trying to take back everything he gave me. I should have felt satisfaction, but all I felt was sad. Sad for both of us. Two women betrayed by the same man. What are you going to do? I asked. I already did it. I called your lawyer, gave him copies of everything, every email, every text, every receipt. If Leonard wants to play games, he's going to learn that I play too. Why would you help me? Because you didn't deserve what he did to you. Neither of us did. But you're the one who's been with him for 40 years. You're the one who stood by him when he had nothing, and he threw you away like trash. That's not right. She hung up. The next day, Reginald called with news. Shanice Crawford just handed us a gift. She gave me documentation of another $200,000 we didn't even know about. Vacations, jewelry, cash withdrawals. Your husband spent $500,000 on this affair. $500,000. Our entire retirement. Gone. But here's the good news, Reginald continued. With everything we have now, I can guarantee you're walking away with at least 70% of the marital assets. Maybe more. The house, most of the business, the retirement accounts, all of it. 3 months later, we went to trial. Leonard had burned through 2 lawyers by then. Neither wanted to represent him once they saw the evidence. The trial lasted 3 days. Witness after witness testified. Bank officials, Leonard's employees, even Shanice, who told the court exactly how Leonard had manipulated both of us. Natasha and Darius were there for Leonard. They sat behind him in the courtroom, showing their support. It hurt to see them on his side. But I understood. He was their father. They loved him, even when he was wrong. On the final day, Judge Robinson read her ruling. After reviewing all the evidence, I find that Mr. Montgomery engaged in systematic dissipation of marital assets. He spent over $500,000 on an extramarital affair while providing minimal support to his wife of 43 years. This behavior is not only morally reprehensible but legally actionable. She looked at Leonard. Mr. Montgomery, you will be awarded 15% of the marital estate. Mrs. Montgomery will receive 85%. This includes the marital home, 85% of the business, and 85% of all retirement accounts. You will also pay Mrs. Montgomery's legal fees in full. Leonard's face went white. Your Honor, that leaves me with almost nothing. That leaves you with exactly what you deserve, Mr. Montgomery. You spent your wife's future on another woman. Now you get to live with the consequences. Perhaps next time you'll think twice before betraying someone who gave you 43 years of loyalty. She banged her gavel. Divorce granted. We're adjourned. It was over. After months of fighting, it was finally over. I walked out of that courtroom a free woman. single for the first time in 43 years, scared, but also hopeful. Claudette was waiting outside with half the church congregation. They'd all taken the day off work to support me. When I came out, they cheered. "Speech," someone called out. I laughed. "I don't have a speech. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for believing in me, for standing by me, for reminding me that I'm more than just someone's wife, that I have value all on my own." Pastor Williams stepped forward. "Sister Loretta, you showed all of us what it means to stand up for yourself, to refuse to be treated as less than. You showed us courage, real courage." That night, I slept in my house for the first time in months. My house, my bed, my life. The next morning, I woke up and made myself breakfast. Real breakfast. Pancakes and eggs and bacon. I ate slowly, savoring every bite. Then I threw away that plastic flour that I'd kept as a reminder. I didn't need it anymore. My phone rang. Natasha. "Mama?" "Hi, baby. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Darius and I saw everything in court. The emails, the bank statements, all of it. Daddy lied to us. He lied about everything." "I know, baby. Can you forgive me for not believing you?" "There's nothing to forgive. You're my daughter. I love you no matter what." She started crying. "Can I come visit? Can I bring the grandkids? They miss their Mimi." "I would love that. I would love that so much." After we hung up, I walked out to my backyard and looked at the garden I'd planted years ago. It was overgrown, neglected, but still alive, still fighting to bloom, just like me. I spent the next few months rebuilding. I sold Leonard's business for a good price, invested the money wisely, started volunteering at the church, took a trip to Italy with Claudette, visited my grandkids in Atlanta. I learned to be Loretta again, not Leonard's wife. Not just a mother or grandmother, just Loretta, a woman who had loved and lost and survived. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I heard through the church grapevine that Leonard had moved to another state. He'd taken a job at a small accounting firm, trying to rebuild his reputation. Shanice had moved on too, found herself a man her own age. I didn't wish them ill. I just didn't think about them at all. Because I was too busy living, really living. For the first time in 43 years, I was free. And that plastic flour that had cost $9.99, it taught me the most valuable lesson of my life. Know your worth, and never, ever settle for less than you deserve, because life is too short, and you are too precious. And if someone can't see that, if they would rather spend their money on someone else, if they give you plastic when you deserve diamonds, then let them go. Walk away with your head held high, because you don't need someone who doesn't appreciate you. You never did. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.